Hello, and thank you for joining us for this week's edition of It's Your City. I'm your host, Courtney Bloomer. Today's episode is brought to you by the Wired Wednesday Digital Artists Group. They will be hosting the Tell Me You Love Me short film competition on Valentine's Day at the Brewery Arts Center. If you're looking for a great date featuring dinner and a screening of several independently produced films, visit the Brewery Arts Center website to buy tickets for this great Valentine's Day event. Our guest today is Kathy Bartos. She's here with Sierra Nevada Forums. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Courtney. It's good to see you again.
It is great to see you, and you are back here on the show. Happy to have you today. Sierra Nevada Forums is a really great organization that is hosting monthly opportunities for people to gather and learn about some really pressing issues. How did this get started?
Actually, it's a good thing that you asked because it's been exactly 5 years this month that we started Sierra Nevada Forums back in 2013. And the way it originated was actually a lot of frustration around the Obamacare or the ACA. And people were really frustrated with the fact that they didn't feel they were getting accurate information. They would flip between news stations, and everywhere they went, they were hearing something in conflict. The information hadn't been subject to political filters. And so we really decided we needed to do something. Wouldn't it be nice if we were able to get somebody who was nonpartisan, who was educated on the whole initiative and was able to give that information to the public. So of course, after a couple cups of coffee, it started sounding like a better and better idea, and we got ourselves motivated. And this was really just started exactly that way. A couple people having coffee and talking about how frustrated the world seems to be right now around this issue. So we found some excellent speakers that came from San Francisco who worked with the government regional positioning to help do this kind of thing. We had two of our wonderful local doctors talking about this as well. And it was interesting, we planned on about 25 people coming, so we were very excited, and we got out 25 chairs, got the little podium there at the plaza, who were very nice to donate it to us folks out there who seemed incredibly disorganized, because we were. And the doors opened and in came over 170 people. So we had to get more chairs, and it was a wonderful thing. But we asked people, why are you here? Is it because we made sure people knew that this was going to be a nonpartisan educational event, and practically everybody raised their hands. So right there, we knew there was an appetite for this, that the frustration was definitely out there. So that really was the birthing point of Sierra Nevada Forums. We are still just a group of people that get together for coffee. We're not a nonprofit. We're not even an organized organization. We're just a group of people that like doing this. So that's how it started, and it has evolved from there. We took on climate change. That was a very good one, and then fracking is one we've done over the time. We recently did Yucca Mountain. So we try to address those issues that seem to create controversy, but not necessarily based on factual information. So our goal is to make sure we have presenters that are factually oriented, that have been vetted by their peers, and can be trusted to give us a research-based perspective on things. So, and then of course we throw in fun ones like the Northern Nevada Wildlife that we did last month, which again drew about 200 people. So we have a lot of animal-loving people in this community, which was great. So that's how it all started.
And the forums have been on all different kinds of topics. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, it's really important that these are not a political forum. Right. These are not a partisan forum. These are not advertising for a particular viewpoint. This is to just get out really fact-based, straightforward information to the public.
That's correct. And that's why a lot of people say, well, why don't you have a pro-con debate? Once you get into that realm, information begins to get skewed again. But we do present the various perspectives of an issue. And each one of those individuals is allowed to speak for 15, 20 minutes, and then be part of a panel where we engage them with questions from the audience. So we don't want to set up adversarial. That's what we're trying to get rid of. We're trying to just get the facts as we understand them from people who know their stuff.
Right. And that brings us to this month's forum. Yes. This speaker is Silvia Antoneda Bernales. She is an immigration lawyer, and this month's forum is going to be about immigration.
Correct. And of course, the reason we're doing this is we're seeing a lot about that in the paper these days. And people are throwing out various ideas on what we do about this, but before we can really do that, we need to understand the law. The law is the law, and it's not subject to, well, it can be, I suppose, but most of the time when it's done correctly, it's not subject to people's various opinions. It is the law. So what she is coming to do is essentially that, talk about what the actual law is around immigration, what some of the various statuses are, what she knows about who's coming into our country and why from various communities and around the world. But we'll leave, hopefully, people with a sense of factual information about what we can and can't do as a nation to address this issue and be fair all the way around. But that's what we're hoping that they'll do. They can then leave and form their own opinions on the various options that are being presented in the media now from a legal, fact-based knowledge perspective.
Right.
One more step up the rung.
Now, these presentations are often about information that is controversial. These are issues that are really polarizing in our political climate right now. We're seeing a lot of discussion about the immigration debate. The DACA recipients in the country, there's a March 5th deadline to straighten out the situation with DACA. How is that going to be addressed in this particular forum?
Again, I think what Sylvia will be doing is talking about the current status of DACA, what that means. A dreamer versus a DACA, what are we talking about here? So she'll get into a little bit what is a DACA student or a DACA young person. Then based on that, people can then formulate where they would like to see go forward with these young people, based again on what DACA currently means, if that makes sense. They have certain rights right now as a DACA. You can get a driver's license, you can legally be employed, so that these young people who have been through our school system and educated by us, and through no fault of their own, are now under serious scrutiny. They have something to do. They need to go to school or get a job.
Right.
Okay.
Now, immigration is certainly not limited to the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. Immigration is a much larger issue.
Yes.
The current administration has proposed some solutions to immigration, including building a wall. Is this discussion going to extend to that larger picture of immigration?
You know, it probably can very easily, because we do allow ample time for questions and answers from the audience. And the way we do that too, and we learned, was to have people submit their questions in writing. This presents people who go on and on and on for, a whole diatribe, but there's never really a question in there. So out of respect for everybody's time and to get as many questions and answers as we can, we do have people submit those, and they can write them down ahead of time and then not submit them if they happen to cover that question for them in the presentation. So yeah, and that's where a lot of more information comes out, is during that question and answer time.
All right. This month's forum is taking place on Tuesday, February 13th. It's going to be located at the Brewery Arts Center again.
In the performance hall.
In the performance hall, so folks can go there. Do they need tickets to attend?
No, we do this completely free. It's all by donation, and if we need to scrap together, money to do something, it's a little bit of a challenge. But so far, all of our speakers have been very generous with us. We've rarely had to pay for them to come. They're eager to share their information on the topics that they're as close to their hearts, and their professions most of the time. So no, it is a free event. We welcome everybody to come.
All right, a fantastic opportunity for folks to come down and get some fact-based information. Yes. Again, that's taking place on Tuesday evening at the Brewery Arts Center. Kathy Bartos, thanks for joining us today.
You are welcome, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this information.
All right, and thanks to all of you for joining us for this week's edition of It's Your City, brought to you by the Wired Wednesday Digital Artists Group, putting on the Tell Me You Love Me short film competition on Wednesday, Valentine's Day, also at the Brewery Arts Center. I'm your host, Courtney Bloomer. If your business would like to sponsor a future edition of It's Your City, please contact Darla at the address shown on your screen. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.